The president has a wide variety of roles as a leader of our nation. To begin, his first role is that in fact to be a leader of our one executive system we have in place here.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Nice to meet you.
He recommends laws to Congress, makes bills into laws by signing them, and makes treaties and agreements with other nations. He makes sure laws are followed and enforced.
Hey, no.
The president performs ceremonial duties, hosts formal dinner parties with fellow leaders, and hosts special events at the White House, such as the Easter egg roll. He awards citizens for their good deeds and awards soldiers for their bravery in protecting the United States. He is responsible for deploying troops. He gives a State of the Union address once a year in January. He gives executive orders and appoints someone to speak on behalf of the United States. He oversees the training of military troops and is the leader of the political party for which he stands for.
20.
Sir, yes, sir!
In the electoral process, each state receives at least 3 votes, and their number of votes increases based on the size and number of people within that state. If the majority of the state's votes are for one party, that candidate gets all the state's votes. Previously, Washington, D.C. was kept out of local politics, so people who lived there did not vote, but recently, in 1996, they were given the privilege to vote and received the same number of votes as Wyoming. United States territories do not have the privilege to vote for who the president is. It is a common misconception that citizens are directly voting for a candidate, but in fact, they are voting for an elector who goes to the collegiate meeting to vote in favor of the people. The number of votes a state has is actually the same number of electors they are allowed to send to the collegiate meeting to decide who the president will be. Citizens vote in November, and then their electors cast the final vote in December.
When the founders of the American Republic drafted and ratified the U.S. Constitution, they did not envision a role for political parties. In his farewell address, George Washington warned against the creation of political parties. However, his advice was not taken, and as voting rights were extended to every adult in America, political parties began to take on more effect. Today, political parties play a significant role in politics. The 2 main political parties control the president, Congress, governorships, and state legislators. Their primary goal is to control the government. Leading up to elections, they try to appeal to the entire nation, not just specific regions. They provide money and other necessities to their candidates, and help advocate their name to influence people to vote for their party. When it comes time to vote, parties help organize elections and allow for people to better express their opinions in the democracy we have in America. After elections, the parties help keep peace higher up in government. When the 3 main parts of government are all part of the same party, disagreements are less frequent and decisions are made much quicker. However, George Washington's warning against the creation of political parties is understood. Political parties do create strong disagreements between people leading up to elections. Plus, if the government is broken up between Democrats and Republicans, it is hard for decisions to be made.
There are a few alternatives to the single executive, such as the double executive. The advantages of the double executive are that there is a say from both sides politically about what happens with the government and which rules get passed or not. The government is supposed to function better because it should be easier to make decisions, but really, wouldn't it be harder for them to make decisions because they're both from opposite sides, so they are almost never going to agree on the same views? On top of that, there are claims of how the W executive is better and how today's government is flawed, but it says almost next to nothing about how the system is beneficial and could fix today's problems. Also, how would the veto process go? What if one president vetoed and the other didn't? This system is clearly flawed in a few ways, including the voting system. Would he be able to vote for Republican candidates if you're a Democrat? What if the Democrats voted for the worst candidate to mess up the Republicans? The voting, vetoing, and decision-making process is clearly flawed because they all become more complicated and less beneficial. There are also other alternatives, such as a 12-person system. Again, the same issues appear though. How would it be decided to elect these officials, and wouldn't this just cause for more conflicts in the decision-making process? The pros to the system are, though, that one of them are listed as president, but the only special power he has is commander-in-chief, so they do have all equality. This group was supposed to make decisions while Congress was in recess for administrative and executive decisions for Congress. This would only cause decisions to be harder to be made, Because would the voting have to be unanimous, or would it have to be majority? And even so, wouldn't it be 6 from each side for each party? Could third parties also come in? Who knows? This is also another unclear system. The last alternative is the three-person system proposed by John Dickinson, where one president would be from the north, the other from the mid, and the last from the south. This system is clearly outdated because of how we have expanded to 50 states. So how would it be divided up? Would different regions have unfair advantages having more votes? I mean, because California in that area, they have a lot of votes, so if California and Texas were together, that would be a complete powerhouse. The details of this system is that the executive that was in office the longest would be named the president, and all would have equal power except for one being named president, and the only power he got was being named the president. The system is better because one president could break all ties, but the problem is that what if one president is a Republican, the other two Democrats? Then wouldn't the Democrats be a win? Isn't it just the same as having one president because majority rules, or would it have to be unanimous? Would voters from the north not be able to vote for the mid-region and so on? This system is clearly flawed. The system also has some unclear views, including the question of would the three executives be more disciplined than one? Probably not, because the three executives would not collaborate, therefore not having many decisions passed in terms of laws and rules. These are the alternatives to a single executive and how they work out potentially. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed our views on the role of the presidency, role of the political parties, the Electoral College, and the alternatives to a single executive.